What's up, guys? It's Rob here, and we need to talk about Sundial stock, ticker symbol SNDL, because it has been absolutely tanking today along with the rest of the market. It's no surprise. Every stock is incredibly red. Sundial's down about 10% to a very low price that I think a lot of investors are actually going to like. If you take a look at the chart, it's actually sitting really close to 42 cents, where I currently have a 1,000 limit order at exactly 42 cents on Sundial. And if you add that up, if you add up what that equals to, it's actually a $420. So I don't know why I chose that price, but I did. So if this thing moves down just a little bit more, we'll actually get that filled for us pretty soon. So all in all, Sundial is not looking great on the chart. Neither is any stock in the market, right? Sundial's been tanking, but so has the S&P. If you take a look at that, it's basically following a very similar pattern to Sundial, or rather Sundial is following a very similar pattern to it, right? Both of these are down. The S&P and Sundial are both down massively. Obviously, Sundial's down a bit more because it's a much smaller market cap stock, a much riskier stock, and institutions and hedge funds are not afraid of pushing down with short positions as well to profit off of this market downturn. But it's not just Sundial that's down in a really big way. In fact, if you look, more than 1/3 of NASDAQ stocks have slumped 50% or more from their all-time highs. In fact, 36% of stocks in the NASDAQ have plunged at least 50% from their 52-week highs. And this report was released on January 14th. And the scary thing is, if you look at the S&P on January 14th, that's right here. So we've actually fallen quite a ways more. And I'm sure a ton more stocks are down 50% or more from 36%. We're probably up to maybe 50% of stocks in the NASDAQ are down 50% or more. So it's absolutely not just Sundial that's been hurt massively by this market downturn. It's pretty much everything, right? A ton of stocks are down in massive ways. Sundial has been hurt, obviously, more than 50%, but it's not just Sundial, right? And in my opinion, the best time to be buying up stocks like this is when they're on a big downturn. If you look at the past 2 years, the best times to be buying Sundial was actually when it was going through big dips, right? You'd rather be buying on a big dip right before a little pump or a big dip right around here, which is actually where I started buying at 19 cents at Sundial way back when. Typically, the big dips do provide a bit of a buying opportunity with Sundial, at least in my opinion. Obviously, not financial advice. I'm not recommending that anyone do that. But we have a bunch of interesting Sundial stock news that's coming out today, right? It's not just, that Sundial is down, but Sundial actually has some really good things going for it despite being down. In fact, we had a very impactful ad come out the other day. Louisiana, this is a record-breaking ad, a history-making ad, where Louisiana State Senate candidate makes history and breaks the internet with a cannabis smoking ad. And here he is right here. And you can see in the ad, he says, "And I'm running for the U.S. Senate." And he has a blunt right here in his hands. So very cool stuff. I mean, if anyone can get cannabis legalized, if I want anyone leading the charge on it, it's this guy. Look at him. Who is going to say no to legalizing cannabis when he's in the Senate? I have a lot of faith in this, right? Obviously, he's actually running in a state where it will probably be pretty tough for him to win for political reasons, right? He's running as a Democrat in Louisiana, where typically Democrats don't win. So his chances of actually getting in there aren't that high, in my opinion. But the fact that he is willing to go out there and put out this ad where he is smoking cannabis publicly in the ad and running for the Senate is very beneficial, I think, for the outlook towards cannabis legalization, right? I think that the fact that people are really breaking down barriers like this and are willing to go out on a limb and put out cannabis in public ads where they're running for office is really impactful. So I'm very excited to see that this is finally happening. And we do have a couple of other interesting stories, some very bullish for Sundial, some not as bullish, but before we go to those, I did want to show you guys the channel analytics. Currently, we sit around 10,250 subs, and we're trying to get up to 11,000. So if you want more Sundial stock news, feel free to hit the subscribe button, join the family, get up to date on Sundial whenever there's impactful news to talk about. And the next story that we have for Sundial is actually a little bearish for it, right? Most Americans predict that Biden won't uphold his cannabis decriminalization promise in 2022 poll finds. So if you look down here at this chart, you can see that most Americans don't just think Biden won't uphold his campaign promise, or at least hasn't made campaign promise progress towards decriminalizing cannabis. You can see that one right here highlighted in blue. In fact, 39% of people think he's made no progress on the issue. 15% think he's made only a little. 23% aren't sure. They obviously haven't been keeping up with the news. And 16% say he's made some. 7% probably just checked. He made a lot of progress on everything and weren't even paying attention because from where I'm sitting, I've not noticed him making much progress on decriminalizing cannabis, right? It's pretty much everyone else, actually. It's literally almost everyone else in the United States making a ton of progress towards it, except for Biden. So if you actually look, governors across the US tout cannabis reform progress in many different states and in their speeches. So first off, New Jersey, governor here said many jobs await in the cannabis industry, ready to take off. In New Mexico, we have the governor saying legal cannabis is going to create thousands of jobs and serious tax revenue for local governments to support local services in every corner of our state. In New York, we have the governor saying it will create opportunities for all New Yorkers, particularly those from historically marginalized communities, and that they've prioritized getting New York's cannabis industry up and running, right? It's legal in New York, but they still need to work with some of the licensing. And also in Rhode Island, the governor recommends creating a strictly regulated market, legal market for adult use cannabis in the state. So all in all, a ton of these states, right? South Dakota, Virginia, a ton of these states talking about cannabis legalization next year, right? A lot of these governors are very bullish on it. They realize that there will be a lot of tax revenue that they can collect and that it will help to potentially decrease the prison populations, right, in certain states. So all in all, we're looking at really good stuff from a legalization perspective, despite the fact that Biden probably isn't going to decriminalize it, right? We don't actually want it decriminalized. We want it legalized, which is what these governors are working on and touting, right? We want it legalized and taxed, hopefully not taxed too much, but taxed a little bit. And I think that's a really good situation that we could be looking at coming very soon, where a lot of these states are legalizing it, where people are running for Senate and are publicly using cannabis. That's very bullish for the outlook of legalization at the federal level. If we get enough people in there who are just not afraid of it anymore, then I think we're probably going to be seeing some good stuff, not just with Sundial stock, right, but with all the cannabis stocks, that we could be seeing a lot of green. Now, another very bullish thing for Sundial, it's not as bullish as the whole legalization thing, but it's slightly bullish. This just happened today. Sunstream, which is a joint venture sponsored by Sundial Growers. Basically, it's a cannabis investment company, has been assigned an investment grade rating of BBB plus by Edgar Jones Rating Company. So it's not as good as a AAA plus, but it's still pretty good. And the CEO of Sundial actually spoke on this and said the investment grade credit rating assigned from Egan Jones is a testament to the strong track record of Sunstream Opportunities LP's existing credit portfolio, which comprises over 375 million Canadian dollars of investments thus far. So all in all, the CEO, Zach George of Sundial, is touting Sunstream as joint venture. So we're probably looking at good stuff coming from Sunstream in the future, but something that I did want to point out is Sundial's market cap. $884 million now after this most recent dip. It is getting incredibly low, and it's really getting into the range that a lot of retail investors like to look for, right? Sub $1 billion. It's getting quite juicy, and I personally think that when this whole market crash is over, right, when the S&P is done with this massive dip that we've been on lately, I think that Sundial could be coming back in a big way, right? I think that it's seen a little bit too much pain from this. And I think that it's getting to too juicy of a valuation. They've got a bunch of cash on hand, a bunch of investments. Obviously, their investments are probably dipping in value, but the fact that they've got an basically a $900 million market cap at these prices, if they fall much further, I mean, it's just going to be so cheap and easy for pretty much anyone to move, right? Sub $1 billion, it gets pretty easy to move these stocks. And if retail comes in a big way, and I know there are a lot of Sundial fans out there, if retail comes in a big way, we could really get something rolling with it. Now, obviously, none of this is financial advice. I'm not recommending that anyone do anything with their money. I'm just letting you guys know some of the Sundial news, as well as a whole lot of my opinion. So once again, I'm not recommending anyone buy any certain stocks, right? Just because I have a buy order on it doesn't mean you guys need to have one. Understand that, the markets are experiencing a lot of pain. There's a lot of pain in the markets right now. Pretty much everything is moving down. And if you don't have cash on hand that you can afford to lose, you probably shouldn't be investing it. So that's just my opinion. Obviously, don't, invest in anything you can't afford to lose. But I am overall very bullish on Sundial. So I just wanted to let you guys know and let you guys know some of the news. So if you appreciate that, feel free to subscribe to the channel and like the video. Other than that, though, have a great day. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.